And joining me now, right at the very top, is the Congress's legal eagle, senior lawyer and Rajya Sabha MP Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Appreciate your joining us, Dr. Singhvi. How do you now see the centre's decision to seek a review of the Rajiv Gandhi convicts case, the manner in which they were let out, given the fact that you have in the past criticized the decision to allow the convicts to be freed, even as your own party leadership, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, have said they are more than happy to forgive them, to allow them to go. How do you respond to all the conflicting, in a way, statements that have emerged over this issue?
Let me clear a few misconceptions, Rajdeep. In principle, of course, we support any attempt to review and set aside what we believe is a fallacious decision. So in that sense, I think we support. But we have no hesitation in saying that the record of the Supreme Court says, the order itself shows, that the government of India was very slow, dilatory, and did not respond in time to the several opportunities given by the Supreme Court, and that led to part of the problem. But secondly, there is the common misconception which you must clear. Sonia Gandhi approached and made a statement only for one particular purpose. A pregnant lady or a lady with a child does not deserve death sentence, is what she said, and please commute it. From that, we have extrapolated a decision, quite amazingly, to a release from death to life for one person has been extrapolated to general release for all. That is never what either Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi said or did. Number three, look at, see, there's a point which I took about a week ago, as you know, and I'm glad that the government in India is now nibbling it around the periphery of the similar point or thought process. A Prime Minister of India, sitting or former, represents the sovereignty and integrity of India, irrespective of whether your color is X, my color is Y politically. That sovereignty or integrity of India is a national issue. You cannot release people merely because government A or government B, in this case Tamil Nadu government, says that they should be released. This is, all murders are bad, murders are all foul. But a murder, deliberate, careful, pre-planned and convicted up to the Supreme Court through several layers of a Prime Minister, former or current, is something which strikes at the root of the Indian nation's identity, sovereignty and integrity. That cannot lead to a release. And that's our fundamental objection. Of course, to use Article 142, Rajdeep, in a sense shows that the Supreme Court itself accepted that you cannot have a power to release. So they use the extraordinary power of 142, which alone the Supreme Court can use to virtually say that we are doing things which are not sanctioned by the law.
Dr. Singhvi, you mentioned there interestingly that no state government should be allowed to decide for itself that they want particular convicts to be released. But guess what? The Tamil Nadu government, which pushed for this, is headed by the DMK, of which your party, the Congress, is an ally. Now, how far can you go in distancing yourself from the Tamil Nadu, what the Tamil Nadu government was doing? The truth, some will say, Dr. Singhvi, you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Be part of a power-sharing arrangement in Tamil Nadu and yet claim that you disagree with what the government there has done.
No, Rajdeep. In a lighter vein, in the press conference I held, a similar question came and I said that if I can disagree with the Honorable former President of the Congress, then certainly I would disagree with my ally, very valuable ally, very old association, but we don't agree on this point. We do not just consider how do you apply this ruling, how do you select whether Rajdeep is to be released, Singhvi is not to be released, how do you select demands from diverse states with similar things. There has to be a parameter. After all, there is a rule of law. There is absolutely no principle. You cannot, and that's why, in fact, the Supreme Court used 142. 142 is an admission that this is a special power used in a special way. But you know, you cannot justify it, and I certainly will not agree with the ally. I'm not agreeing with even Sonia Gandhi's interpretation or your interpretation of what Sonia Gandhi did. Of course, she only went to the extent of saying commute the sentence.
But, you know, Dr. Singhvi, the Supreme Court appears to have interestingly also made a distinction between the foreign nationals who've now been released, i.e. Sri Lankan nationals, and those who were released earlier who are Indian, and almost suggesting that the foreign nationals should not have been granted a remission of sentence, the Indians can. Does that make sense of you, since effectively they were all part of one conspiracy, it would seem, to assassinate the former Prime Minister. How do you make a distinction, foreign nationals versus Indians?
I entirely agree with you, and I disagree with this distinction without a difference, or difference without a distinction. My point was made on a larger issue. Sovereignty and integrity of the nation is as much invocable and hurt with the Prime Minister or former Prime Minister's assassination, whether it is an Indian national who does it or a foreign national who does it. You cannot make this distinction. And secondly, this distinction also was not made by the government of India when there were parties in the Supreme Court. You are not a party, I am not a party. A political party cannot easily be a party in a criminal proceeding. It was the government of India which was heard, but they did not promptly respond, promptly file affidavits, did dilation, and did not take this point also. I believe the right point is a larger point of sovereignty and integrity of the nation, not limited to whether you are a foreign national or I am Indian national.
Given that you are harping Dr. Singhvi, that this is a case that involves the sovereignty, integrity of the nation, do you therefore expect the Supreme Court to review the decision, or do you believe that it's now too late? The centre itself has moved too late now. The convicts are effectively out.
Well, at least they have moved. I think they would have done better had they promptly been replying the affidavits in the court proceedings. Nobody can predict a Supreme Court judgment, but certainly it is an issue of wider ramifications. So I am hopeful that the court will see the wider aspects. You see, the problem is this becomes a precedent of sorts. That precedent of sorts can have very wide repercussions tomorrow. Forget this situation, state X will have a particular sympathy, state Y will have a particular sympathy. Tomorrow in the womb of the future you may have very serious convicts who have been convicted at 3 layers of court hearings. You cannot handle it by simply saying that in one case we did it specially. Well, that case will apply to so many other cases, and that's very deleterious to rule of law, to fundamentals.
So effectively, Dr. Singhvi, what you are telling me is you believe that all those convicted in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case who are given a life sentence, life must mean life. Am I correct?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we have gone further, and to that extent one can perhaps agree partly, although we did not quite agree directly, but that you may commute one sentence in the case of a woman from death to life. But that's very different from saying that life doesn't mean life. Life means X years, and you are out. En masse, in fact. You are out in large numbers.
Okay. I think you've been very clear, Dr. Singhvi, why you believe this case should have been reviewed in the first instance and the convicts not let out. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, appreciate your joining us.